them folks.
I know. I'm not a doctor, of course.
Okay, so the Luos were just chilling tonight, and then suddenly Dr. Ojwang, who is one of them and from Homa Bay, Dr. Ojwang, you might just be Suba.
No.
You might be Suba, you might not be Luo. So they just brought in the aspect of ODM and Luos. But let me bring the discussion back here because you were done. Cyprian, do you believe that the former retired president took his phone and called Raila Odinga and told Raila Odinga, call President William Ruto and please restore sanity in the country? Or these are just games that politicians play?
No, as a trained social scientist, I cannot confirm or discount what the Right Honorable Raila said about this phone call he seems to have received from the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. So as a social scientist, I cannot confirm or discount. This will play out in the coming days. Mm-hmm. What I want to say regarding what Dr. Ojwang just said about ODM is that the leader of ODM needs to communicate clearly to Kenyans if they have joined government, which is okay if they decide to so do. But he cannot do that at the same time, hold on to the minority leadership in parliament and then claim that he's also in government. This situation that they are creating is the one that I'm concerned about as a governance practitioner. And Ken, when you invited us, you spoke about picking the pieces.
Yes.
And moving on to that very quickly, for me, I want to say three things that are important to the country right now. First of all, when we talk about picking the pieces, one of the important things that we've discussed since we started the conversation is about the role of the police in a democracy going forward. And this we have done justice about. The second thing that I want to reflect on is that what we are seeing for me, because I am on the street and I am listening to Kenyans across the country, the whole of next week I'll be in Rift Valley, both Nakuru and the North Rift. That's where I spend most of my time. What I see is that we are seeing a lull before the storm. A lull before the storm because the Gen Z demonstrations were not a passing cloud. They actually spoke to the resetting of the country, resetting the country. Mm-hmm. They told us that we must move away from the three evils, diseases that have bedeviled our country since independence, which is ukabila. Ukabila is the mother of ufisadi, and it is the mother of utawala mbaya, or uongozi mbaya. Those are the three things that our young adults, they don't like being called children, as Manyora was calling them, that these are children. They are not children.
No, these
are young adults.
He said our children.
Our children.
Yes, a father he can.
Yes, I'm giving him a tip because I work with them and they tell us this. Those are the three things. They are saying that the country must be reset. And there's a lull before the storm. Mm-hmm. The final thing that I want to say so that we set this going forward is that I see that when this is going to resume, it is going to be a Gen Zote.
Everyone will
uprising.
Be involved. Everyone will be involved.
Because 81% of Kenyans endorsed the Gen Z uprising.
Who did that research?
It was done by one of the pollsters, one of the most credible pollsters in Kenya. And we in social science know how important, opinion polling is.
That's 8 out of every 10.
8 out of every 10 Kenyans endorsed the three issues that Gen Z said. Mm-hmm. They said we must bring ukabila to an end. We must end corruption. And we must end governance that is crooked.
Okay.
because it is what is hurting us.
Okay.
So I see that this is going to be a genzote. This is a lull before the storm. And police governance going forward is going to be a central conversation in our democracy and its health.
Okay, a good place. Manyora, you can pick up from there, but I know you commented about ODM, and the understanding also is that what the president did, that card that he pulled, one, it sort of brought this lull that he's talking about. However, there are conversations about it still being exclusive to a particular group of people and not all encompassing. Is this the antidote, and do you think this can potentially stop this storm that he's talking about?
You know, if you see the Gen Z problem, success or otherwise, in terms of either the presence in the streets or the so-called calm, then you will be reading it wrongly. The Gen Z thing is a revolution. It's about resetting our country. It's about thinking differently. And it's not about government alone. It's about parents at home, how they are going to relate with their children going forward. It's about running institutions, including private companies and organizations.
And churches.
Yeah, it is just it's a new way of doing things. It was going to come in a much more violent way. And we must thank the Gen Zs. Because they have brought it, I know people have died and so on and so forth, but it has come in a relatively peaceful way. You see, they are just reminding us that our fathers and mothers, have bad manners. Please, style up. Let's run this country. Because God has given us a good place to live in. Let's make it good for all of us. Let us get jobs. Don't kill our parents with taxes and high cost of living. That's what they are saying. It was going to come in a bad way. So yes, there could be a lull, there is calm. Some people could be happy, they could think their games have succeeded, but I have very bad news for them. This is a revolution.
Gentlemen, you all nodded at that point.
Yeah.
All of you
it
nodded.
is a new way of doing things.
Yes.
You can't stop that. And you can't say it has not succeeded because people are not in the streets. Even those who say people are not in the streets, do you know how much business has been lost on Tuesdays and Thursdays, even when there was not a single person in the streets rioting? Last Tuesday, was it last Tuesday? Government itself blocked people from going to town. Look at that.
On an announcement.
Yes, government itself. I had to go to a roadblock near a junction to see it was true. I asked them, what are you doing?
Are you the one who was taking that video on the road?
No, I just went without a video. Because I couldn't believe. I had to walk there and ask them, what are you doing?
Yes.
Then I had to witness. And therefore, this is a revolution. Unfortunately, as with many other revolutions, many people sleep through the revolution. So a good number of people are snoring through this revolution. And all I can tell the political leadership of this country and any other people who are in charge of this country is do the right thing.
And that's
Stop games. Stop being clever. Because you cannot be clever about a revolution. You can't. It's not possible. Just do the right thing. Listen to what the young people are saying. Listen to what Kenyans are saying. Reset. And let's move forward. It is easier to manage change than to stand in the way of change. So all these games people are playing...
Where are we? Having said that, where are we? Are we managing change?
We are trying to fight change and block it through games, Sungura Mchanja, bring Raila here, and then, Sijui do here, stop say you have rejected the finance bill, sneak it back through the back door. Those are all games.
That's what the first thing
those are all games.
Buddy said, that some of the classes in the finance...
When he talks, I look at him and say, where does this guy live? You see, Ken, I keep telling people, this is our country. Let's be serious about our country. Let's think about tomorrow and our children and grandchildren. What is Mbadi talking about going back to the finance bill? What Mbadi should be doing is looking at the budget and say, gentlemen, sure, let us be honest with ourselves. There's so much in this budget that we can remove. Because it doesn't add up, doesn't make sense. Let's remove that to compensate for the loss of the 340 or so billion we were to get if this finance bill had gone through. Now that it hasn't gone through, tuangalie kama hii CDF inafanya nini toa. Hii water harvest na ni ukora yote toa. Hii ukijatoa hiyo ukora umepata 700 billion. Then stop theft. Stop wastage.
You know, before I come to the other gentleman, I watched your video on your YouTube channel just the other day. You had a whole issue with the nominees and declaring their worth.
Yes.
I mean, people are allowed to create wealth.
People should be rich. I'm sure for like Ken, when I see you rich and driving big vehicles, I'm happy for you. But what I was saying is the casual nature. A man just walks there, sit down, says, what is your net worth in our vocabulary in this country? What is your net worth? You get that, Ojuang? Duncan. What's your net worth? 600 million. Okay. What are you worth? I'm now worth 600. I was worth 400 1.5 years. Now I'm being reverted. Now I have added 200 million. Casually. And somebody says, maybe it has come from my law firm. That is what was making me mad. That you can casually tell Kenyans, you could just have made 100 million, 150 million in a year.
Okay.
Big companies with all the infrastructure for business have a problem making half of that money. And you and an individual with some miserable law firm. And then I was asking, how much did you pay in taxes? You cannot come and tell us casually you have 800 million. Let's see how much you pay in taxes. That's what I have.
Or how much you paid during that period.
Yeah, we want to know. Sure, if you...
And you think the members of parliament weren't probing them enough? Especially
no, we don't have a parliament.
It wasn't enough.
Let us be sincere.
I thought this time around they did a good job.
Let us be a little bit serious as a country and say that we have come to a place where every successful parliament has been worse than the previous one. In the 13th one is actually worse than any other that we have been able to. And again, let us say this, that if Parliament's main role is to oversight the executive, is to represent the people of Kenya, and is to make laws and policies that take this country forward, and they cannot do the basic things that Manyora is recommending, for example. There are many companies in this country that employ many Kenyans that do not even make 20 million shillings profit in a year.
Profit.
In a year. I consult for several of them, and I know what it takes for a company to post 40, 50, 60 million shillings a year. That's a company that has employed many people and is paying them, and they are doing a good job. They are doing sales, they are doing production, and then they go home at the end of the year with 60 million shillings in terms of profit after tax. That is why they will post what they paid to the Republic in terms of taxes.
Yeah.
And then they got this amount in terms of profit after tax. When an individual who was a lecturer the other day and could not even afford a air ticket to Eldoret is telling you that he's now 600 million shillings in net worth. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Windfall.
And you are not asking him, because net worth means all my assets minus liabilities.
Yes.
That is what we call net worth. So you don't come there and members of parliament don't ask you, which law firm is that? Where is the KRA manifest in terms of the amount of taxes that you paid from your services? Which company are you running?
Yeah.
So if members of parliament cannot ask basic primary school questions, we don't have a parliament.
Daktari.
We don't have a parliament.
Daktari, your comments on this?
Yeah, I think we started with the Gen Z, and
it was a supplementary question that has brought in another discussion, because I think it's so important. When I sat there myself to watch, and I watched, and honestly I wondered, how do you increase your wealth within 2 years? 75 million per year. What have you been doing? What have you been doing that and the economy is so depressed, people are closing businesses, companies are shipping out, and
your attention was on running a ministry.
You made money.
the idea of... So Kenya have always changed through descent. from colonization to Article 2A to Kenya have always incrementally changed through dissent. People who have gone against what is there, gone to the street, criticized it, and to me that is very important, and that's where I put where the Gen Z contribution is. And that is why they locate it within Sabasaba. We know the history of Sabasaba. They locate it within Nane Nane. We know the history of what happened to Nane Nane. Number two is that with all these changes, we are perfecting our union. And yes, we should speed up, but it is getting to a better place and a better place as a nation. Because of that, because of dissent and because of people who are saying, no, we are not boarding on this and that, Kenya have always improved. But I think there is a space where we are saying, we train these young people to be logical. I'm a lecturer. And what they have been doing is logical. They are saying, you grown-ups have squandered our future. Basically, that's what they're saying. Mm-hmm. What is it to hope for? What is it to remain and do? Because you have wasted and you have made away with our future. But even with all that, I still think that there is a place where when we go too far, we move from human rights to international humanitarian law. If there is war, if there is chaos, look in Africa. Apart from French and American Revolution, which other revolution have improved any African country? And I think that is a fair question, that yes, we have data, we have seen various revolutions. At what point have we seen any African country improve because there was a revolution? And so therefore we can understand when people become a little nervous and asking,
is this improvement even based on governance or economic improvement? You need to...
Any
of them?
Any.
Okay. Because
yes,
I think governance is a lot of examples when it comes to governance.
Through revolution in Africa?
Yes.
Which one?
I don't want to go to that. But no, I think in terms of governance and accountability, yes, governance and accountability, there are countries that are governed better because of revolutions in court, because of the change that happened. I mean, if you go even where it started with this Arab Spring and all that, and even if you just go across to Egypt,
Arab Spring,
Libya,
are they better now?
Even in terms of governance,
is Sudan better? Is Libya better?
In governance, I'm not looking at.
Yeah, they might now access tweet, they might access Google that Gaddafi had refused.
It's
but economically, are they better? And
let me help my friend.
That's a very important.
Yes. Let me help my friend. Yeah. First, it depends on what a revolution is, your understanding of a revolution. Let's make it simple. Let's say revolution is a sort of a change outside normal. If we go to an election and elect a better leader or a bad leader, that's a normal way of doing things. Yeah. But if we disrupted that and brought in another government in a way that is not the normal way, let's call that a revolution. Unfortunately, it could be bloody. Like Malcolm X said, there ain't no revolution without bloodshed. Yes. It could also, unfortunately, again, be through military coups. So you go to Tanzania, a very good example of a revolution starting in Zanzibar
that made the
country much better from even a philosophical point of view. The idea of being human beings. Okay? The Libya you cite, by the time Gaddafi is being brought down by Western powers, it was the envy of everybody almost in the world.
And it was a revolution.
Because it's a country where if you are not employed by the state, you are paid because you are not working. A desert turned green. The Libyan currency was 1-to-1 with the dollar. Yeah. Education free up to all levels. Health free. You are given even a house The state gives you a house. It is in Libya where all natural resources were exploited, not necessarily by Libyans, by anybody who came for their gold, whatever they had. You partner with the state. You talk of revolutions, you talk about even the Ethiopian revolution. You talk about change, you talk about Thomas Sankara. You can go on and on. Egypt from the time of Abdel Nasser.
Yes.
You can go on, there are many. Internationally, the Russian Revolution, the Cuban Revolution that turned Cuba from a slave colony.
His question is, have African countries been
successfully?
We have been mentioning. I'm giving you
examples. Is
examples.
Ethiopia better?
I've given you
in terms
examples.
of its governance. Is Ethiopia better?
Oh, yes.
Is Libya better? And you know,
You see now, Libya was destroyed
by NATO.
But all the years Gaddafi was in power,
it was
Libya was the enemy of everybody.
And that was
because
a product of the revolution.
Yes, it's a revolution.
It was a product of the 1969 revolution,
Yeah.
Okay.
which brought Muammar Gaddafi to power.
Including
If we are talking
New
about
Egypt.
revolutions, then let us not start from 2011.
Let's go back.
Let's talk about Africa.
Yes.
Right from the revolutions that brought independence. Let's talk about the South African revolution that ended apartheid and established democracy.
Yes.
All right.
Those are revolutions.
Let's
But
talk
on the
about
contrary,
those are not revolution. You know,
It's
like
it was
talking
a
of-
youth revolution
It's like talking of
in South Africa.
It's like
Duncan,
talking of
yes.
war on drugs. It's not a literal
Ken,
war. I
no,
thought
yes.
when you talk of
Ken,
revolution,
yes.
you really
On the
mean
contrary,
revolution.
We have a few minutes, but I'm
just
doing
half a
one-
second.
Yes.
On the contrary,
Yes.
and this is for Juang's attention, any serious change from status quo, almost without exception throughout history, has been through a revolution. In 2018, as the war comes to an end, Russian soldiers are fighting barefoot. And you can imagine the Russian winter, the harshest thing in the world. Barely 3 years later, is a superpower. It is revolutions that bring change. Unfortunately, and I've said it before, unfortunately, it can be so disruptive if sometimes it doesn't achieve like the Arab Spring, like what happened in Egypt. Now, later, during the Arab Spring, the earlier revolution was better. But later, the Arab Spring, they can be so disruptive without achieving what it meant. There can be a coup that reverses everything you people have.
It's 63 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you need another 50 years.
To come from it. Yes, Secret.
So you've seen that in West Africa, for example, in countries like Niger or Mali or Burkina Faso, where there were military coups which have turned around the narratives and the realities of these countries because they violently threw out governments that have been client and puppet governments of France. They have started to sell their uranium and their minerals, and they are able to industrialize and transform agriculture.
Yes.
So we must not sell fear. That's what I want to discuss.
Yeah.
Because the Kenyan revolution...
You felt he's selling fear?
Of course, that's what he's doing. You must know where the quota is coming from.
Yeah.
What we must explain to the people of Kenya,
Yes.
is that the Kenyan revolution is happening within the constitutional framework of our
Article
country.
37.
Those are
It is Article 1 that is being applied. It is the people of Kenya who are exercising their sovereign power directly because the elected representatives have failed to actually undertake the mandate that they have been given as agents.
Okay. Gentlemen, I have a few minutes and I have to ask you the last question of the night. We have seen the president in the last few weeks. He started with going to churches, and then there are times he even sneaked into a church. We were not even aware he's going to be in that church. Then he went public. He was in Mombasa, Coast Region. We saw him hold a town hall, and then now he's gone to Kisii, right? He's going to Western after Eldoret tomorrow. He's doing a round, right? Is this part of the picking up the pieces and making amends? Let me begin with Dr. Duncan Ojwang just in 1 minute. Do you think this can work for us? Is it going to work that the president has now once again started reconnecting and making more promises?
I'm not intimate with this itinerary, but I think that for Kenya as a country, we are blessed because we never learned to fight with guns. We have always have dialogue and very hard discussions. I have happened to seen the so-called revolution even in Sudan, where I know there's two sets of refugees. The two gentlemen here will be refugees who will be housed by the embassies, but there are refugees in Kakuma. Even if you talk of South Sudan refugees, there is two sets of refugees. There are those who are in the camps, and there are those who are in Lavington, housed by Kenya. It's not something to play with. It's like grown-ups. I can't talk of young people. Grown-ups playing with matchboxes and matchsticks. Now, what the president is doing, trying to talk to Kenyans, I think that this country, sometimes when you hear Kenyans, and we use those words loosely, because there is no way of gauging how many Kenyans. Mm-hmm. When we talk of Kenyans, sometimes we talk basically of those who eat bread and butter their bread with Blue Band. But I think there's another set of Kenyans who are always forgotten. And these are the people that now the president is talking to in the villages and in the rural. These are the people who have not read Marxism, who probably are tied to the ancestral land and cannot imagine that the revolution we have through election, which is the mother's milk to democracy, can be changed and casually be treated, that we can simply have it in any other way. There is no way you can move from the constitution and go extra-constitutional. Then you say, now the people here are going to say that we are going to govern ourselves, yet there's still counties, yet we are still talking of the right to picket, which is in the very constitution. I think that we sometimes stretch our imagination, and it's a good thing. But we have taught this Gen Z to be logical. And I think that when the issue that toppled the idea is that, so where do we move from here? And that's an important question that everyone must
Please
ask.
answer as we finish.
How do we move from here?
Yes.
I think we continue being vigilant. The freedom can only be achieved by constant, continuous vigilance. Finally, though the builders might go, the building must go on. We must build the nation. We must always ask the difficult question, and we must not forget that Kenya have always changed through dissent. Therefore, I'm okay with dissent. But sometimes talking of revolution, as if we are talking of war on drugs, we are using those lingo in a very unscientific way, and it's getting me nervous.
Dr. Juang, as a scholar, as I go to Cyprian, I'd like to ask you this question. The Kenyans, by voting for a government, surrenders that will to govern them. That's why they respect, yes, they respect what the president says and the elected leaders tell them, because they trust them, right?
Yes.
At the point that you feel, I no longer trust this elected leader, I no longer trust this person, and I'd like to take it back. And what is the way to take it back? Instead, because your proposal is the milk of revolution is elections. Yeah. If I can't wait for that election, what is your proposal as an alternative to what they're doing?
In the Constitution, if now in the middle term, we know there's various ways of even recalling or impeaching the president. That is within the Constitution. We also know that the
Constitution is one of them, recalling.
Constitution, impeaching the president. But I don't see a clear path where you simply depart from the 2010 Constitution, and it's hypocritical. You want it to protect your right to picket. You cite Article 37 proudly as proud as a big nose on a Nigerian face. And then on the other side, you don't want the same constitution. You are saying I'm now directly exercising my sovereignty. It is that experimentation that that is extra constitutional. Because Kenya is a republic, and within that republic, if we now say we exercise our sovereignty directly, Article 1, we are sovereign without guns, isn't it? And sovereignty belongs to the people. What does it mean? And at what point do you say now the people have decided to withdraw their sovereignty?
Can I take it up from there?
Yeah, after him, yes. Are you done, Dr. Because we're not coming back to you. Are you done?
So I still think that what we are witnessing are very strong conversation,
Yes.
very strong statements, but ideally, what we want to see is a country that is governed by rule of law. Now, when
and you really need to end. We have first time.
That's okay.
Let me go to Cyprian, just briefly.
The
yes,
question that
closing.
you asked us was whether President Ruto is picking the pieces
Yes.
by these tours that he's doing across the country. And I think that is his way of picking the pieces. And he has a right to do that. However, President Ruto, even with including ODM in his government, has not identified a formula for resolving the economic problem that the country is in. The pain, the economic pain, is what got the Gen Zs out. And Manyora spoke about the taxation, the cost of living, which is actually birthed by the problem of public debt, where for every 100 shillings we collect in terms of revenue, 70 shillings goes to paying debt. Debt that is odious. That is the problem. President Ruto has not said anything in those Kisi rallies that he has been doing and everywhere in terms of what is the economic solution to the country's deep problem. And
I think he had when the Kisi rally, no, but when he ordered and put some people in a commission to audit public debt.
No. Because he was doing something unconstitutional and he was stopped immediately. But we went to court as a Kenya Bora Tutakayo Citizens Association, and we stopped that because it was unconstitutional. The other thing that we've done as Kenya Bora Tutakayo is that we have actually filed a constitutional petition to remove President Ruto and his deputy Gachagua from office because of constitutional violations. 34 constitutional violations within 22
you're
months.
Among the organization. Okay.
We are the organization that has failed. So President Ruto is going to respond by Friday 16th, and his deputy. We will be waiting to see their responses to the constitutional petition. And we are actually asking Kenyans to prepare for a referendum to remove the president, because that is what article, and that's what I was saying, that everything we are doing as a country, this revolution is going to be anchored in the Constitution of Kenya, which I spent the whole of my life, by the way, fighting for, going to jail for, and losing everything, including career, for.
Okay.
So it must be respected, it must be upheld. So we will be waiting to see what the president and his deputy says in court.
Manyora.
Before I talk about picking the piece, I know we don't have time.
Yeah, we don't have time.
I just want to help Ojwang a bit. We want to stick to the law. When you bring violence and disruptive things, we all lose, and it will take time for us to regain our country. I know that. But you also, I want to open your eyes just a bit. Impeachment. We can impeach the president and anybody else, including the MPs, using the instruments provided for and the institutions of impeachment, courts and parliament. But I also want to remind you that you can also impeach these people in the streets. Why? When the people disobey the laws, operate with impunity, and do all the things that offend the citizens and the Constitution, then the citizens can impeach them in the streets. Now, to picking the pieces. The president is moving around because he's trying to regain credibility and the confidence of Kenyans and the goodwill which he has lost. So I understand. And Ojwang says, and I want to support Ojwang, I agree with him, he's my friend, that to the villagers, all these things Gen Zs are talking in Nairobi and Manyora in this studio and Ken and the rest, they're nothing. It's true because when opposition to government begins, it is more in the capital cities, big towns. It is usually qualitative and not quantitative enough to give people power. We know that. But Ojwang, it is the villager who watches the child die because they cannot take them to hospital. It is the villagers in this country who are now receiving their university students because they cannot continue with university. For the first time I teach at university, but you are not in a public university. For the first time, Ken, students are not taking up their places at university. In number that are frightening. It is Kenyans in the villages you are talking, who are going to bed hungry.
Yeah.
Those villagers, Ken, cannot be happy with the people who they believe are causing them that misery. And therefore, much as the president may be cheered, in the villages, the villagers are feeling more pain than you and I. I cannot believe, even the time they cheer the president, they are genuine about it. They are the ones who are hurting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming. Cyprian Nyamamu, Dr. Duncan Ojwang, and Herman Manyora. Thank you so much for coming tonight and sharing your perspectives. And of course, I look forward to more discussions on this. I'd like to see what Cyprian calls the lull before the storm. I'd like to see how it happens. I'd like to see what Dr. Ojwang calls progressive, and how much these countries will change after such. And if it's necessary to abide by the Constitution and not to selectively choose what part of the Constitution I want to obey. My name is Ken Mijungo. On behalf of the whole team, I want to thank you for watching News Hour tonight. And even as we leave this video of the week, we leave you with the video of the week, because this is one of the topics we've discussed for more than 45 minutes on the show tonight: police brutality. Let's watch the video, then we can cross the show.
Okay, you're done.
Video, because it's one of the videos that clearly demonstrate people you can never identify as a policeman. If you look at that video before, they were just chilling, they were just sitting, and you'd have never known these are policemen. Well, it's a tactic, but the only way we knew they were policemen is when they took the gentleman to the motor vehicle. That is the only way we knew those policemen. A good place to end tonight. Tomorrow we have a great show for you. Also, my colleague Ashley Mazuri will be here. And of course, we begin broadcasting very early in the day. Eldoret is being given a charter tomorrow. We'll be right there. And of course, we have other interesting broadcasts for you throughout the day. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of this whole team, have a good night. My name is Ken Mijungu.